Good morning. We'll go ahead and call the Tippecanoe County Commissioners meeting to order. If you'll please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Next, we have the approval of the minutes from our November 18th meeting.
Mr. President, I move to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passes. And accounts payable vouchers.
Mr. President, I'd like to recommend the claims from November 20th through December 2nd, 2024 be approved without exception.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passes. And payroll.
Mr. President, I would also like to recommend the payroll dated November 22nd, 2024 be approved without exception.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? That motion passes. All right. We have 3 ordinances through APC.
Mr. President, I move we hear ordinance 2024-24-CM, USO Amendment Number 14.
Second.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
Well, the first of the 3 is a subdivision ordinance amendment. We don't get these too often, that's why we're only up to 14. But this one is designed to tighten up language regarding the dedication of rights-of-way. We've had some phrase in there before that we've been running with for many, many years, and various departments, I think, took note of it, and, you know, this could be a little bit stronger. And so what's in the packet there is what's come up with, what they came up with, and just provides a little bit more detail about where the dedications go and to which locality, that sort of thing. So pretty simple adjustment, so we are recommending approval.
Okay. I know a lot of departments were involved in this one, so I appreciate the time and effort.
Of course.
All right. Questions from commissioners?
No, sir.
Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak to this ordinance? Okay. Jennifer?
Brown,
Yes.
Murtaugh,
Yes.
Byers.
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-24 CM passes 3-0.
Mr. President, I move that we hear ordinance 2024-25-CM, rezone Z 2947 Red Tail Properties.
Second.
Okay, our next rezone petition. This effort is requesting rezoning of just over 15 acres from R1 single family to the I3 heavy industrial zone. Proposed contracting business is envisioned primarily for the storage of their heavy equipment, which outdoor storage in that zone would be permitted. Vehicular access is not obtained from the Heartland, of course. That's limited access, so it's in the northeast corner of the property to the existing street network. The property itself is off the is off the water city utilities. So individual well and septic would have to serve this site if called for. Obviously, if they're just storing equipment out there and they're not flushing toilets, then there's probably not going to be a need for that sort of thing. The Hoosier Heartland Plan, which was adopted in 2016 by this body, did call for kind of light industry and open space, but it was also couched in the city maintaining its proposal at the time of having a well service in that area. And so since the city has changed their mind on where this well field is going, the plan no longer kind of makes sense. And so we sort of default to this is a proposal for heavy industry in an area without city utilities. And so typically this would be considered a premature effort, even though it's certainly near major highways and so forth. Until those utilities are more available, staff is compelled to recommend denial. It is notable that the petitioner did submit a commitment, which essentially turns the screws on uses, basically providing a list of prohibited uses that are normally allowed in the I-3 zone, and they're binding themselves to not being able to do these uses, and that's Exhibit B in your packet. So we are recommending denial. Happy to answer any questions.
Ryan,
Yep.
I apologize. It seems like I ask this every time we have a rezone request with a commitment. But does this body approve the commitment separately, or is it just one? Is it the rezone request with the commitment?
That's interesting. I think I'll default to the attorney. I don't think I've come before you with this request.
I think normally, I think you can do it however you want, but I think probably the most logical way is to consider the rezone, and then if you approve that, then move on to accepting the commitment. If you don't do the,
But wouldn't we need to accept a commitment first?
well, okay. So I guess just playing that through, somebody could vote for the rezone on the idea that the commitment restricts it, and then the other commissioners act in a way that's unexpected to them, and then the commitment's rejected. So maybe the safest way to do it is to vote on the rezone with the commitment all as one package, so you can do it up or down.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
That would be consistent with how the APC voted too. So.
Okay. Okay. All right. Petitioner. Good morning.
Good morning. Kevin Riley with RTS Law, representing the petitioner. Greg Wildbaker, one of the principals with the petitioner, is here as well to answer questions if you have any. Red Tail is under contract with the City of Lafayette to purchase this property as part of a land swap. This property sat vacant for about 27 years, and the city, as Ryan mentioned, has determined that it no longer needs the ground for future well fields. I think it's worth noting that the city actually approached Red Tail about this land swap, and it's our understanding that the Lafayette City Council has approved the swap should the rezone be approved. As mentioned, Red Tail plans to lease the ground to its affiliate, R&W Contracting, to store construction equipment and materials. I don't know if the site plan made it into your packet or not. We did submit a site plan at APC. Shows the west side of the property being used for storing materials and equipment, and for the time being, the east side being used or left in crop production. Per the terms of the ordinance, with the properties to the north and west being different zones, we are required to install berms on the north property line that's 20 feet long, and then install a berm on the west property line as well. I agree with Ryan that at this point, because of Lafayette's change of direction, that a rezone is appropriate. We do think that I-3 is appropriate here. It's adjacent to an I-2 on the west, and then there are about 50 acres of I-3 directly to the south of Hoosier Heartland. There was some stated concern at the Area Plan Commission from citizens about traffic. The traffic to this site will be sporadic. We don't believe it will be significant because there are not going to be employees' office space at this site. R&W has 2 triaxle dump trucks. Those are both operated out of their Klondike site. Those trucks will travel to this site from time to time, maybe more frequently if there is a job that requires it, but again, we don't expect frequent or heavy traffic to this site. And we certainly think that the traffic flow will be less than what would be expected with an R1 use or a GB use. I would mention there are several letters that were submitted to Area Plan. Most of those letters came from residents in neighborhoods south of Hoosier Heartland, or about a half-mile north of this site, with the exception of the church. And again, we don't think that their concerns are valid with respect to traffic and some of the other things that I have mentioned. So we think that I-3 is appropriate for this zone. Happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions?
No, sir.
All right. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this request? All right. Jennifer?
And just to clarify, the motion is with the commitment as it's stated on the agenda? Okay.
Yes.
Murtaugh,
Yes.
Byers.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-25CM passes 3-0.
Mr. President, I would move that we hear ordinance 2024-26-CM, rezone Z2954, Tippecanoe LLC, A to I3.
Second.
Okay, this is a petition with a slight variation to the previous one, but kind of similar in terms of where our recommendation leads. This site, a little over 46 acres, located between North 9th Street and Burnett's Creek, across from Swisher. The proposal is to basically kind of join with the adjacent site to current company operations for the Tippecanoe group. The petitioner had been interested in a site further to the east of the interstate. This was petition Z2940. They ended up withdrawing that, opting to zero in on this petition's site. So the land use plan that was recently adopted earlier this year, the Wabash-Tippecanoe Township's plan, does show the area with a kind of an ag wooded future, given the nearby floodplains, the wooded environments, and adjacent open areas. And so that was sort of the land use that was zeroed in on with that plan. So obviously this non-industrial or this non-residential heavy industrial use zone, without the benefit of any commitment or anything, would potentially pose a problem vis-a-vis the land use plan. This site, similar to the one in the previous petition, is also sort of not fully on the city water and sewer, which does compromise its development potential. But again, we kind of hold to what the land use plan recommends in this case, so we are recommending denial. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Petitioner. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Marianne Owen. I'm from the law firm of Stewart and Brannigan, and it's my pleasure to be here to talk to you a bit about this request. Our clients are requesting the rezone of this property from Ag to I3. This property is in an area where there's quite a bit of I3, and so this request isn't terribly off the map. We are requesting it to help our client expand its existing facility that is adjacent to this property. And that is one that uses metal fabrication, commercial trailer manufacturing with some outdoor storage. And as the APC staff's comments have just noted, their report is outstanding as always. It provides a good list of the items that any property owner in this area would go through as far as the development of the grounds. So we'd like having the list that our client already has be supported by the APC. As noted, we have to do some work on the utilities, but they are available in the area and so will be addressed. And then in regard to the sewage issue, that is a place where we'll need to deal with the commercial septic sewer system. But these are all things that can be dealt with the various groups within our governmental community. So I'm here to answer any questions. My client is here as well if you have questions that she can answer.
So I do have one question. So I'm assuming that the current facility has a commercial septic system currently?
Yes, it does.
And it is, so would it just be expanded, or would there be a separate system for the new location?
Let me bring in my client and have her speak to this. Please, Beth. This is Beth Forrest of Tippecanoe
Due to the location of where the septic and the buildings are currently, we would have to put in
A different-
a new septic to support that building.
And do you expect that your new location will be on the south end of this property? Or would it be closer to the current facility?
We don't know for
Okay.
sure yet. I'm thinking that we'll keep like the wooded area, mostly wooded to kind of hide some of it, but closer to the river there, it's being farmed now, and that's our target area. But we don't have all the surveys and everything
Okay.
back as far as, how we would do drainage and working with the, drainage board and everything.
That's understandable. Okay. Thank you.
I guess my question is, the last I-3 there, having to build a berm around the edges and things like that, or fences or stuff, and maybe, Ryan, you need to answer this, or maybe I'm way off on it. But following along 9th Street, is there some way do we need a berm? Do we need fences? Do we need barriers? Do we need any of that associated with this?
Yeah, if they're adjacent to zones that call for it, they would have to provide buffering, the 30-foot, evergreen buffer.
Okay.
Standard. If they're adjacent to industrial zones, then no.
Well, by looking at the map, they're really not adjacent. I mean, they're running parallel to 9th Street
Yeah.
in a roundabout way by looking at the map. That's why I was just curious.
Oh, okay. I have a copy of the map, so there we go.
It looks like it might be required on the south end and a little
Yeah.
bit on the
I mean,
east.
that's why I'm just curious on
Yeah.
that part of it.
But it looks like
Part
it,
of the process that need to go through in the
Yeah.
development plan.
See how much land is left after you pull the buffering out of it.
Okay.
But yeah, adjacent to that A-zone land, their neighbor, that would have to be buffered.
Okay.
And that's the benefit of the size of this piece of property.
Right.
And what they intend to do.
And where the current facility is, it's clean, it's taken care of and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong on that part of it. I'm just curious. I mean, I'm just looking at the last rezone, I'm assuming, did you get letters opposed to this where they didn't need a commitment or such, or any of that's part 2 or such? Or
Not on this case.
Not on this one? Okay.
Correct. And then another thing to note is that the building commissioner can also factor in existing vegetation where buffering would be required as a substitute if he
Okay.
considers it appropriate. So
Okay.
that way you don't have to take down a healthy stand of trees just to
Right.
plant new ones. Yeah.
More trees, right. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
okay.
Anything else?
Okay.
As always, it's a pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Is there anyone from the audience that would like to speak to this petition? Okay. Hearing none?
Byers,
Yes?
Brown,
Yes.
Murtaugh.
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-26 CM passes 3-0.
All right. Thank you. All right, Highway Department. Good morning.
Good morning. I had a few items here. The first on our list is the Highway Department has accepted proposals for the replacement of 2 tandem dump trucks. We did receive 3 proposals, and there's a recommendation letter that have been analyzed, and we're recommending that we award to M&K Truck Center the 2 Mack tandem axle dump trucks totaling $581,813.32.
So move.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that motion passes.
Second item on our list is acceptance of Section 3 of the Auburn Meadows subdivision. There's a performance bond from Atlas Excavating in the amount, $123,333.10, and you'll be accepting 4 streets: Blythedale Drive, Endurance Drive, Fossey Drive, Hayloft Drive, totaling 3,399 linear feet of new street.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for the acceptance of that performance bond. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes. And the acceptance of the streets. All right.
The final item has to do with the Pretty Prairie Dam decommission and culvert tip 141 replacement contract, which was awarded at the last meeting. We now have the performance bond and the payment bonds from the successful contractor Ottenweller Contracting LLC. And upon acceptance of these bonds, we will move forward with a notice to proceed.
Move to accept.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next, we have a resolution authorizing submission of proposal to the Indiana Department of Child Services.
Morning.
Good morning.
The State Department of Child Services has released a request for proposals to provide intensive home-based services and day reporting. That fits within what we do. And so in order to respond to that proposal, they've added a new condition that we have to have a statement authorizing signature of that. And so our esteemed attorney has written that resolution to authorize Commissioner Murtaugh to sign that proposal to submit, to be able to provide services, to bill and receive payment for those services that we offer.
So this has nothing to do then with the renewal of the per diem?
Not for residential.
Not for, okay.
It's the
This is
renewal
totally separate.
for service fees for intensive home-based service, our community-based services.
Okay, and is this something we've not been paid for before?
Oh, no, we've been doing this
But-
for a long, long time. And
but
so
this
it's
is the
every
newest
5
RFP.
years.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
And it's a new provision that you have to submit the authorization of how the person signing the proposal is authorized to sign for it.
Okay.
So we were a little creative.
I mean, conceptually, it's the same as a corporate resolution authorizing an officer to sign a document.
Okay.
Mr. President, I move that we approve Resolution 2024-29-CM, resolution authorizing submission of proposals.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the approval of this resolution. Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes.
Thank you.
Next, we have a resolution authorizing purchase of real estate.
Yeah, this is in connection with the wastewater project. Quite a while back, the council approved a resolution according to statute expressing interest in acquiring the property, which is all they needed to do. The appraisals came back showing a value of $212,200. There's an agreement in principle with the landowner, is my understanding, but in order to formally submit the offer, you have to adopt a resolution authorizing the purchase and authorizing the signature of documents, and that's what this does.
With that, I would move for adoption of Resolution 2024-30-CM.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? That motion passes. All right. Next, we have a proposal for energy assessment proposal for county facilities with HEPE. HEPE is a company out of Indianapolis who will be evaluating our current electric and natural gas bills, conducting a one-time on-site energy audit of 12 of our facilities, utilizing building and equipment trend. We'll evaluate the equipment performance within each of those buildings and then document findings within a written report. We received a grant to pay for this, and the compensation is in the amount of $148,700. With that, I will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that motion passes. Goes with that. All right. Next, we have acceptance of official bonds for 2025.
Mr. President, I move that we accept the bonds of Julia Roush for clerk, Christy Martin for recorder, Robert Goldsmith as sheriff, and Yadira Salazar as our treasurer. I move to accept these bonds.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes. All right, grants.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to ask permission to accept the grant for the EMPG Salary Award for 2024 from IDHS in the amount of $69,827.63 to cover a small portion of the salary for our EMA Director, Deputy Director, and Administrative Assistant. The match from the county would be the benefits and the remaining amount of the salary.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to grant permission to accept. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And it looks like we have 2 applications to the villa.
Mr. President, I move that we accept Brandon Holliday and Alexander Clark to our Tippecanoe Villa.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes. All right, any unfinished or new business? Okay, reports on file. We have a report from the Building Commission, and that will be on file in the Commissioner's office. Public comment. All right,
Move to adjourn.
we are adjourned. Thank you all.